I bought a strange glass box on the roadside. I unexpectedly discovered it contained a miniature world of cultivation. A lobster I casually dropped inside became a great demon shaking the land. A small toy sword became a divine weapon sealing the great emperor. In their eyes, I was the great Emperor Zechin who dominated all eternity. They didn't know that I was just a late-stage lung cancer patient with less than 3 months to live. At that moment, I ordered a lobster set for 388 yuan and began studying the projection glass box. Turning the switch on immediately revealed a wasteland. There seemed to be a tiny figure weaving through it. I only saw clearly using a magnifying glass that it was actually a young girl. Her whole body was covered in wounds, and she was being pursued by 2 fierce black wolves. The girl pointed a finger behind her in despair. A flying sword turned into a beam of light and shot toward the 2 black wolves, but they easily dodged it. They then pounced on the girl and began tearing at her. This projection is too realistic. I truly couldn't bear to watch. Remembering the old man saying the projection could interact, I casually picked up 2 toothpicks. I dropped them from the top of the glass box toward those 2 black wolves. The toothpicks fell from the sky. The 2 black wolves, barely a millimeter in size, were instantly pierced through. Gu Qinghan was full of shock. She hurriedly looked around, but saw nothing except wasteland. She didn't have time to think much and hurriedly took some medicine to heal her wounds. 15 minutes later, Gu Qinghan regained some strength. She came before the 2 giant wooden pillars and shivered as she looked at the miserably killed wolf demons. This power is definitely that of a great master. I am Gu Qinghan, a disciple of the King Yuan sect. I thank the senior for your help. However, a long time passed and no one replied. At this moment, the senior, Qinghan spoke of, was opening the door to receive his 388 yuan takeout. I carried that box of luxurious big shrimp back to my room and was about to start eating when I suddenly saw the tiny girl inside the glass box. She was kneeling before the toothpicks and saying something. I slowly leaned in and finally heard her clearly. Thank you, senior, for your help. Please take back your magic treasures, senior, lest others steal them. Magic treasures? These are just 2 toothpicks. The interaction effects of this projection are truly incredible, even coming with an auto-generated plot. I ignored her and started eating while watching the girl. Although small, she's really quite pretty. Gu Qinghan waited anxiously, circling around the toothpicks. Then she stumbled and fell weakly to the ground. She hadn't eaten for half a month. Her spiritual advancement remained limited to the 13th tier of Qi refinement, preventing her from sustaining herself without nourishment. Her eyes shifted downward toward the fallen beast demon. For the sake of endurance, morality held no further significance. Gu Qinghan severed a portion of beast tissue and consumed it directly. The overwhelming reek nearly caused her stomach to rebel, yet consuming the meat proved necessary for her continuation. I found myself astonished by what unfolded before me. Thus, I retrieved a lobster appendage and delicately positioned it within her reach. A brilliant crimson massive structure materialized immediately before her position. The terrain beneath her trembled repeatedly. This what demon beast's claw is this? It's so huge. Eat up. A voice suddenly sounded in her heart. Gu Qinghan hurriedly looked around, but still saw nothing. But she understood. The senior had helped again. Many thanks, senior. Just smelling the aroma, Gu Qinghan felt her power surging again. She tentatively tried to use her flying sword to strike it. However, she only heard a metallic, clinking sound, and her flying sword snapped. The claw didn't have a single scratch. Gu Qinghan looked at her broken sword in disbelief, tears welling in her eyes. Her sect wasn't wealthy, and this sword was forged for her by her master through extreme frugality. At this time I watched the little person with interest. This 800 yuan was well spent. Look at that expression, like she's about to cry, it's so realistic. I decided to pry open the claw to see how the little person would react. Gu Qinghan heard the voice and looked up in confusion. She saw a giant golden hand descend from the sky. It easily gripped the demon beast's claw. After a crisp cracking sound, it actually split open. The giant golden hand slowly vanished in the air. Eat up. Gu Qinghan's mind was in total chaos. She knew the senior was strong, but she didn't expect him to be this strong. Looking at the white meat, she couldn't resist any longer. She ignored her image and started eating voraciously. Watching Gu Qinghan eat so ravenously, my own appetite improved. But then I noticed was wrong. Why was the shrimp meat inside the box slightly less? Why would a projection cause food to disappear? I looked at the 2 toothpicks again. The toothpicks were covered in the wolf demon's blood. This is too absurd. Could it be that my cancer cells have spread to my brain and I'm hallucinating? I rubbed my hair and decided to perform a simple experiment. I started observing the surrounding environment. I found that the scene inside the glass box always centered on the girl. I couldn't see further landscapes. Does this projection only show things within 300 meters of the girl? While I was thinking, I suddenly saw the ground wriggling. Something seemed to be approaching the girl from underground. I hurriedly warned her, be careful. Having eaten her fill, Gu Qinghan heard the voice and instantly gripped her broken sword. Looking around vigilantly, she saw yellow sand flying in the distance. Something was rapidly approaching her. It's a desert worm. Damn it, aren't these worms usually asleep? Why did it suddenly wake up? Gu Qingcan seemed to understand something and looked back at the red claw. In that brief moment of distraction, the nearly 20-meter-long desert worm had already reached her. It opened its mouth full of fangs. Gu Qingcan gripped her broken sword and leapt up to strike first. The desert worm clearly didn't take her seriously. In an instant, Qinghan plunged her broken sword directly into the desert worm's head. Desert worm writhed in pain, twisting its body frantically. I watched all this with growing anxiety. I suddenly noticed the lighter on the table. I hurriedly picked up the lighter and disassembled the piezoelector inside. Get out of the way, Gu Qingcan heard the senior's voice again, and let the desert worm toss her aside. At that moment, the heavens and earth changed dramatically. The sky, which had been clear just moments ago, suddenly filled with fierce winds. In an instant, black clouds covered the sun completely. The desert worm looked up in terror, its whole body trembling. It wanted to flee, but the energy from the heavens gave it no chance. A terrifying green and purple lightning tore through the sky. It split the heavens and earth apart, and landed squarely on the desert worm without reserve. Then the dark clouds dispersed, and the sun shone again. The deep molten pit on the ground bore witness to the horror that just occurred. I watched that little earthworm get electrocuted by me and breathed a sigh of relief. Finally saved this little person. Are you okay? I'm fine. Thank you, Senior, for saving my life. I have no way to repay such a great favor. If Senior has any request, I will certainly fulfill it. Anything? Yes, anything? Do you still have a flying sword? A flying sword, mine was destroyed. However, I have another flying sword my master gave me for practice. Do you need it, Senior? Yeah, give it to me. Hearing this, Gu Qingcan hurriedly searched through her storage bag. She found a wooden flying sword. She didn't know how to give it to the Senior, so she carefully stuck it in the ground. Senior, this is the practice flying sword my master refined. It has a set of sword control formations carved inside and is embedded with spirit stones. Even an ordinary person can use it. It's meant for practicing the art of sword control. Gu Qingcan explained seriously. I looked at the flying sword that was finer than a hair. Picking it up by hand was certainly not possible. So I carefully reached into the glass box with tweezers. At that moment, 2 giant metal rods suddenly appeared in the sky. They gently picked up the wooden flying sword stuck in the ground. This left Gu Qingcan deeply confused. The Senior seems very unwilling to show his face. Does he have some unspeakable reason? I carefully placed the tiny wooden sword in my hand and examined it closely. The world inside the box is actually real. Senior, can I take this demon beast's claw away? My fellow disciples have been besieged by half-demons for nearly a year. They're about to reach their limit. Tell me the details. Hearing this, Gu Qingcan respectfully told him everything. It turned out her master had established the Qingyuan sect on this wasteland. A year ago, the half-demon tribes, who had always lived in peace with the Qingyuan sect, launched a massive attack. The Qingyuan sect almost faced annihilation. Fortunately, other sects from the Great Wasteland joined in and successfully repelled the half-demons. Who would have thought the half-demons would immediately change their strategy and surround the entire Qingyuan sect, cutting off all resources? They wanted to starve the Qingyuan sect to death. Gu Qingcan was sent out to seek reinforcements. Even if seeking reinforcements failed, she had to bring back some resources. After hearing Gu Qingcan's explanation, I understood everything. Take it if it's not enough, I have more here. It's enough. This demon beast's claw meat is full of spiritual energy and can strengthen the physique, comparable to a spirit pill. With the spirit meat, it's enough to repel those half-demons. Gu Qingcan took out a storage bag, covered in runes, and waved it toward the lobster claw. The lobster claw instantly disappeared. Is it full? Ah, oh yes, it's full, Senior. I was planning to take it out to play with. I didn't expect space to be so small. Senior, I'm going back to sect now. Would you like to come and see? I still have things to do. We'll talk about it later. Then I'll take my leave. If you have time, Senior, the Qingyuan sect always welcomes you. After speaking, Gu Qingcan hurriedly headed into the depths of the Great Wasteland. I stood outside the glass box watching Gu Qingcan move. Sure enough, as Gu Qingcan moved, the scenery inside the glass box changed as well. But was always centered on Gu Qingcan. At the foot of Mount Qingyuan, masses of black shadows surrounded the Qingyuan sect. Glowing beams of light floated around the mountain, with lightning jumping from time to time. That was the protective formation of the Qingyuan sect. The 5 lightning destruction array. The half-demons couldn't break it after a long siege and could only use this method of surrounding it, the Qingyuan sect's cultivators. In the center of the demon camp, a wolf demon with a wolf's head and a human's body waited anxiously. He was exactly the leader of the half-demons. Hey Lai. I said from the beginning, resources in our great wasteland are already scarce, and yet we have to fight with humans. Everyone is poor. If we rob humans, will we suddenly become rich? Exactly. If we keep wasting time like this, I don't know if humans can hold out, but we half-demons will certainly be severely weakened. At that moment, a man suddenly appeared in the center of the camp. Demon Lord, why do you hesitate to attack? That protective formation is very powerful. We can't break it and can only wait. Humph, I think you just don't want to. A powerful aura pressured the surrounding half-demons until they could barely breathe. A nascent soul eccentric. Why would a nascent soul expert come to a place like this? Please calm your anger, Lord. You may not know, but other sects are worried we'll target them next after finishing off the King Yuan sect. They've all gathered at the King Yuan sect to resist us together. Although the Great Wastelands are small, they are quite powerful, once united. Haha, a bunch of rabble. But it doesn't matter anymore. Things have basically stabilized on the Great Elder's side. Now I can spare some time to deal with these disobedient fellows. What did I do to deserve this? Your human troubles. Why must you involve us half-demons? However, you were somewhat useful for at least surrounding this place and not letting anyone escape. Actually, one girl did escape, but don't worry, Lord, I've already sent people to pursue and kill her. The old man was startled and hurriedly took out a portrait. On it was Gu Qingyan. Is it this one? Yes, it is. Just then a small wolf demon ran in to report. Demon Lord, the ones pursuing that human's kinsmen are dead. What? They let her escape? No, that woman has now run back. I'll go kill her. No, let her return. It's just as well to send her to the afterlife along with her sect master. But the King Yuan sect used all their strength to break through our encirclement just to seek reinforcements. If she has brought back powerful help, wouldn't we be? Haha. What powerful help could possibly compare to the Daxuan sect? The Daxuan sect is the #1 sect in the Sand Plains and the head of the Righteous Path Alliance. Hailai knew the terror of this old man, but didn't expect such a grand background. How did the small King Yuan sect provoke the Daxuan sect? How could a girl who hadn't even reached the foundation building stage warrant a pursuit by a nascent soul expert? His instinct told him it was best not to know these things. At this time, the tiny wooden sword I placed on the table began to shake slightly. Then it slowly and continuously grew larger until it turned into a 3-foot-long wooden sword. Mysterious runes were carved upon it. I dumbfounded licked up the wooden sword. It was surprisingly light. Holding it in my hand, it even gave off a warm feeling. But how do I use this wooden sword? I tried to visualize the wooden sword flying in my mind. The sword shook slightly and slowly left my hand. Floating in the air, it slowly flew around the room in the direction I imagined. I hurriedly controlled the flying sword to return. My heart couldn't stop racing. Things taken from the box can actually be used normally. It seems I don't have to die after all. If I could take out spirit pills from the cultivation world, maybe they could cure my illness. I restrained the thrill coursing through my veins. There remained one crucial matter requiring verification. Specifically, the history and origins of the elderly vendor who presented me with this artifact. Within 30 minutes, I had made my way back to the marketplace location from earlier that day. Yet I discovered that both the merchant and his entire operation had vanished without trace. An adjacent merchant chuckled and shared, "Friend, that deceiver managed to fool you as well, didn't he?" Allow me to enlighten you. That elderly gentleman's spring was engaged in grave excavation. The young man would unearth relics while his father distributed them for profit. However, during one of his recent excavations, the son suffered a fatal accident beneath the earth. Following this tragedy, grief overwhelmed the father, and he too perished from cardiac failure. Therefore, retrieving your 800 yuan is certainly within the realm of possibility. I was completely stunned. That glass box was actually dug up from underground, and everyone who touched it died. But thinking about how I didn't have many days left to live anyway, I suddenly wasn't afraid anymore. Just then my phone rang. I looked, it was my cousin Li Yang. I heard you resigned and even threatened that Scrooge Tang. Yeah, he owed me back wages. How about this? Come to Mount Wanjing, I have a temporary job here. Okay. Mount Wanjing is the largest mountain range in Tiana City. Mountains upon mountains with no end in sight. But I didn't feel tired at all along the way. My body felt like it had an endless supply of energy. Some strong hikers even tried to race me, but they couldn't even see my taillights. He's hiking, why is he jogging the whole way? Since when did humans secretly evolve without me? I knew it must be that spirit stone on the flying sword injecting spiritual energy into me. Even without cultivation, it could greatly improve my physique. I'll have to ask Gu Qingyan for some cultivation techniques later. Not aiming to be invincible in the world, just aiming not to die early. After reaching the top, I came to a dilapidated temple. A little Taoist greeted me. This was my cousin. Look at my Taoist certificate. These days, even Taoists need qualification certificates. I heard Taoists make quite a bit. You've finally landed on your feet, haven't you? Li Yang's face immediately soured at my words. That was before. Now our Taoist business has been snatched away by monks. Everyone goes to worship Buddha. By the way, do you want to become a Taoist? Though we haven't made much money recently, it can at least keep you fed. We'll see. I rejected his suggestion. Li Yang had helped me plenty in the past. I decided to help him this time. At night, I went to a dark forest and summoned the flying sword. Gu Qingyan said it had built-in sword control runes that even ordinary people could use. I carefully placed the sword on the ground and then slowly stepped onto it. Fly! The wooden sword slowly rose and then gradually accelerated. The mountain peaks became smaller and smaller. No, it feels like something missing. I thought for a moment and took out my phone to play a song. Now it's perfect. I smiled as I flew over Mount Wanjing. Shortly after I left, some people camping on the mountain looked up at the sky in confusion. They looked at each other in disbelief. A sword-riding immortal. Which of you recorded that? I recorded it. If I post it online, it'll definitely go viral. In the middle of the night, I returned home. Being too tired, I collapsed onto the bed and fell into a deep sleep. What I didn't know was what a great shock this test flight would bring to all of Mount Wanjing. The news of someone riding a sword on Mount Wanjing immediately hit the trending lists. Coincidentally, there was a Taoist temple on Mount Wanjing, and that temple was quite dilapidated and inconspicuous. Isn't this intentionally hiding one's identity? Netizens speculated. There's someone cultivating immortality in that temple on Mount Wanjing. Early the next morning, the entire temple was surrounded and overcrowded. Li Yang's master woke up and looked at the visitors in total bewilderment. These people weren't here to seek fortunes or burn incense. They immediately asked him if he could ride a sword. But the Taoist priest soon realized this was a massive amount of traffic. The entire temple sound system began playing that song. Whenever anyone asked if he could ride a sword, he wouldn't answer, only smile. This only fueled people's imaginations further. This scene completely dumbfounded the monks of Guangyang Temple. Bypassing the worship of Buddhas to directly cultivate immortality, are we? I all saw this trending topic and couldn't help but laugh. Now Li Yang must be incredibly busy. Should I find a chance to fly again? The Xuan Yuan world. Gugu Qingcan traveled through the dust, not daring to delay for a moment along the way. She feared encountering more pursuers. Fortunately, she was lucky today and encountered no incidents on her way to the sect. She finally reached the Qingyuan sect at dawn. She stood in the distance and watched. On the desolate were circles of half-demon camps. They completely surrounded Mount Qingyuan. There were half-demons stationed both in the sky and on the ground. Gu Qinghan used the hidden mechanism array she had set up when she left to carefully return to the sect. Qinghan, a familiar call sounded. Gu Qinghan looked back and saw a thin girl standing behind her. Little junior sister, the two excitedly embraced each other. This is wonderful, Qinghan. The sect master said if today passed, the protective formation wouldn't hold anymore. The resources on the mountain are all exhausted. If you hadn't come back, we would have been starved death. Hearing the commotion, masters of many sects on the mountain hurriedly came over. Seeing the unharmed Gu Qingyan, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Miss Gu, you brought back resources. Is anyone willing to help us? Seeing the anxious gazes of the sect masters, Gu Qinghan also knew the situation was urgent. She hurriedly wanted to take out that giant lobster claw. But at that moment, Gu Qingyan's master arrived with a cold expression. She directly pulled Gu Qingyan to the main hall and closed the door. There was no joy in Bai Ling's expression at seeing Gu Qingyan return, only exceptional anger. What did you come back for? Didn't I tell you not to come back once you left? Bai Ling's anger wasn't without reason. Resources, reinforcements. They were all just excuses she used to trick those sect masters. She used her last means to send Gu Qingyan away, never intending for her to return. Returning meant certain death. Master, I couldn't just leave you all behind. Gu Qingyan looked directly at Bai Ling. She knew her master wanted her to live, but didn't she want her master to live too? Even if it meant death, she wanted to die together with her master. Looking at Gu Qingyan's stubborn gaze, Bai Ling knew saying anything more was useless. Why are you so foolish? Master, I brought resources. Resources, they're useless? No, master, truly many resources. Then take them out for me to see. Master, this place is too small. Let's go outside. The two walked out of the hall. The sect ass outside saw them coming and looked over anxiously. Just as Bai Ling was about to speak, her vision suddenly dimmed. She hurried looked up. A giant piece of claw meat appeared before everyone. They were all dumbfounded. What demon beast's claw is this? It's too big. Everyone, this claw meat is full of spiritual energy, and its energy is gentle. It can be absorbed directly without refining into pills, and can even strengthen the physical body. Bai Ling turned around in a daze. Where on earth did my disciple get this? Could she have raided the lair of some transformational stage expert? Bai Ling grabbed Gu Qingyan and said deeply, "Tell me what happened along the way." Everyone else also looked over curiously. Gu Qingyan nodded and began telling everything that happened on the road. Divine wood falling from the sky, pinning the wolf demons. Thunderbolts from above, electrocuting the desert worm. Listening to her, everyone's expressions became more and more colorful. The little junior sister summarized. In short, you met a very powerful senior. Gu Qingyan nodded repeatedly. The other sect masters asked again, Miss Gu, could we meet that senior? We are in a moment of crisis. If we could persuade that senior to help, there might be a chance for a turnaround. But Gu Qingyan's expression became troubled. She didn't know how to contact the senior either. Bai Ling saw through everyone's thoughts and said coldly, we can't pin our hopes on someone we've never met. Besides, that person might not be as powerful as we imagine. Everyone realized she was right. After all, Gu Qingyan was just a minor key refinement stage cultivator. The thunderbolts and dominating hand she spoke of were likely exaggerated due to her lack of experience. Gu Qingyan was incredibly anxious. The senior truly is very powerful. Why don't these people believe it? Outside the glass box, I had been watching the little people inside since I woke up. and I was feeling rather indignant. Seriously, you little people who couldn't even handle a lobster claw, why are you questioning me? Believe it or not, I truly will show you what it means to dominate with one hand. Gu Kinghan, who was still explaining, was startled and hurriedly looked at the sky. Others also stopped talking and looked up. But they saw nothing except clouds. What do you need right now? Gu Kinghan heard my words and looked back at her master. Senior Hao, what we need. Bai Ling's expression became increasingly solemn, her face full of conflict. If we ask that senior to act personally, the price will certainly be high. After thinking for a moment, Bai Ling knelt on one knee, clasped her hands, and said respectfully, Please, Senior Hao, grant me Thunder Spirit Stones to power the sect's protective formation. This was the safest way she could think of, and the one with the smallest price. Without the senior's personal intervention, they only needed to maintain the formation's operation. The Great Wasteland was impoverished, although they were surrounded by half-demons. As long as they had that lobster claw meat, they could hold out for another 100 years without issue. Those half-demons were numerous and their consumption was huge. They would surely be exhausted before the sect. Outside the glass box, I was stunned when I heard Bai Ling's request. What are Thunder Spirit Stones? Where am I supposed to find those? Wait, anything I put into the cultivation world from outside the glass box seems to have marvelous effects. I searched through a box in my room and found a button cell battery. Electricity is basically lightning, right? Inside the Xuanyuan world, seeing no response from the senior for a long time, Bai Ling was extremely nervous. Could it be that my request was too much? Just as she was about to apologize to the senior, the clouds in the sky suddenly dispersed. Everyone looked up. A circular piece of metal descended from the sky and landed directly on the plaza in front of the main hall, creating a giant crater. It was a circular metal disc that looked mysterious and reflected silver light. The senior said this is a battery. Battery? Thunder and lightning pool? Looking at the giantular metal, everyone looked at each other in confusion. Never seen it before. Bai Ling told everyone to step back and slowly approached the lightning pool. She placed her hand on the metal. She slowly extended her divine sense, passing through the metal shell into the interior. The sky, which had been clear just moments ago, was instantly covered with dark clouds. Countless sprouts of lightning poured from Mount Qingyuan into the sky. The entire Mount Qingyuan was covered by the light of this lightning. Bai Ling repeatedly spat and then knelt on the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. This is actually a lightning pool. Bai Ling's trembled constantly, as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. What lightning pool? It couldn't be the kind like the Leiling sect, one of the Central Plains' righteous alliance, could it? Absorbing the power of lightning to strengthen the body or even reconstructing the physical body. Now a new lightning pool was right before their eyes. Everyone couldn't help but swallow hard. Bai Ling was more shocked than anyone. Although this lightning pool was smaller than the one in the Central Plains, the power of lightning inside was not inferior at all, perhaps even slightly stronger. Truly worthy of one who dominates with one hand. A casual gift is this terrifying. Seeing the blood at the corner of Bai Ling's mouth, I hurriedly put the no 5 batteries in my hand back to the drawer. I thought that button cell wouldn't have enough power. From the looks of it, it's a good thing I only put in the button cell, otherwise I would have electrocuted Gu Kinggan's master to death. I watched the little people below use various techniques to connect the protective formation to the button cell. The power source inside the button cell continuously supplied energy to the formation. The originally dim protective formation slowly became bright. Bolts of lightning leapt upon Mount Qingyuan, displaying its terrifying power. How strange. I put down my phone. I had recorded this scene just now and it felt very peculiar. What's this? A new energy formation. I turned on the replay. I saw the little people, looking like tiny models, busily setting up the formation and connecting the battery. I couldn't help but smile. The button cell slowly rose and hovered at the peak of Mount Qingyuan. The power of lightning was continuously drawn out, constantly nourishing the formation. No button cell in the world has ever had such a glorious moment. After the formation was recharged, Bai Ling finally breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing that the battery still had some lightning power left, Bai Ling led everyone to the battery floating at the mountain peak. They prepared to absorb the power of lightning. Then everyone sat cross-legged under the floating battery. The lightning leaking from the battery roamed over Bai Ling's body like lightning snakes. It tempered their physical bodies. With the enemy at the gate, every bit of improvement in cultivation counted. At the foot of Mount Qingyuan, a crowd of half-demons watched the giant circular metal floating on the mountain in curiosity. There was much discussion. This was the first time they had seen such a peculiar thing since surrounding the humans. The Qingyuan sect's protective formation has become stronger. Is it because of that disc? The half-demons were extremely confused. Just a few days ago, that formation clearly looked like it was out of energy. How did it suddenly erupt with such terrifying momentum? Even stronger than before? Hey Lai also noticed this. He thought of that human girl who had returned. Senior, that little girl seems to have truly brought reinforcements. Trivial tricks. Bai Ling, after all these years, you still only know how to play these petty tricks. That disc has no spiritual energy at all. It's not a magic treasure. It might work to scare these half-demons, but she probably didn't expect that I would personally come here. Hey, I saw this human was still so arrogant and his hunt cold. You're a nascent soul expert, of course you have the right to be proud. But must we half-demons be used as cannon fodder for your human affairs? Lai wanted to say more but was interrupted by the old man. Don't worry. Even if it's true, I'll deal with that person myself. I will show you inferior beings of the Great Wasteland what true immortal techniques look like. Early the next morning, Gu Qinghan woke up and opened her eyes. Lightning jumped on her body, and her eyes gave off a greenish-blue light. Heavenly lightning tempering combined with demon beast spirit meat. Her physical body had been tempered once again. I've achieved body refinement. The strength of her physical body was now no lower than that of a foundation-building cultivator. She could even fight against some late-stage foundation-building cultivators. The sect masters around her also opened their eyes, looking at their own bodies in disbelief. Just external lightning had already greatly strengthened their bodies. Many thanks, senior. Some cultivators reacted and hurriedly bowed to the sky. After Bai Ling opened her eyes, she looked at Gu Qinghan and sighed. Qinghan, is it still not working? Master, still at the 14th level of Qi refinement. But this is fine. Since ancient times, Qi refinement only went up to 10 levels. But Gu Qinghan had already reached 14 levels with no sign of breaking through. Qinghan, you've always been curious about your origins. Among the half-demons, I sensed a familiar aura. If nothing goes wrong, they're here for us. More specifically for you. If we pass through this safely, I'll tell you everything. Bai Ling slowly stood up and floated into the air. A figure also slowly floated up from below Mount Qingyuan. The little junior sister exclaimed, "That's a human. Why is he with the half-demons?" I, who had been watching, also became serious. It looks like they're about to fight. Should I help them? If I act, I might accidentally flatten Mount Qingyuan along with them. Let me see if there's something more precise. I rummaged through my room. Meanwhile, Bai Ling looked at the old man in the distance and spoke slowly. "Seventh Elder, it's been a long time." "Haha. You still recognize me, Bai Ling. You're quite something, keeping this from us for 20 years. No wonder you wanted to take Gu Qinghan away from the sect back then." At this moment, 7 flying swords slowly flew out from around the 7th Elder. His aura reached its peak, clearly showing he intended to go all out. "For the sake of our former sect membership, hand over Gu Qinghan and I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, 7th Elder, must the Daoxuan sect take this path?" The 7th Elder sneered. The 7 flying swords danced wildly in the air, with sword energy crisscrossing. Then the 7 swords erupted with a powerful energy. The sword energies gathered together, seemingly wanting to slice through the heavens. The sword energy tore through the sky and shot directly toward the core of the protective formation. Bai Ling hurriedly controlled her sword to resist, but in the next moment, the 7th Elder was already before her. Lightning surged from Bai Ling's body, but the 7th Elder, with his superior combat experience, found a flaw. Using his hand as a sword, he broke through the lightning defense. Bai Ling spat out a mouthful of blood, barely able to maintain her flight. The 7th Elder had been in the nascent soul stage for over 1,000 years. Bai Ling wasn't even at the nascent soul stage yet. She was simply no match. "It seems you truly want to die protecting Gu Qinghan. Then I'll give you a quick death." At that moment, that giant sword energy directly broke through the protective formation and destroyed its core. No one dared to stop it. That was the sword energy of a nascent soul eccentric. The half-demons below watched the formation that had troubled them for a year being easily broken and stood there in a daze. The 7th Elder spoke loudly. "Hey Lai, what are you waiting for? Attack with me." In an instant, the half-demons surrounding Mount Qingyuan let out a series of angry roars. They charged toward Mount Qingyuan in a massive crowd. Without that formation, Mount Qingyuan simply couldn't hold them off. The sects on the mountain were instantly dumbfounded. Who could have thought the formation they relied on most would be easily broken by someone? Are Central Plains cultivators all this terrifying? "Qinghan, run." The little junior sister saw things were going wrong and immediately pulled Gu Qinghan to flee. But soon a figure descended from the sky. Upon closer look, it was Bai Ling. Bai Ling was in a miserable state, her breath weak. "Haha, I let you live for 20 more years, and you still want to run? Miss Gu, quickly ask Senior Hao to save us. If you don't call now, it'll late." Hearing this, Gu Qinghan's mind was in a whirl. Senior Hao had already helped her too much, and the person before her was too powerful. What if the senior couldn't defeat him? Ha ha ha. It won't matter who you call. At that moment, I suddenly remembered the laser pointer I bought from a store last time. This thing should be useful, right? Just as I was about to act, a woman's voice suddenly sounded in the weak Bai Ling. "Linger, stop being stubborn. Admit your mistake to the sect master. Hand over Gu Qinghan and the mysterious blood. I promise you he'll send people to save you immediately." Hearing that familiar voice, Bai Ling laughed. "Senior sister, why do you think I ran away? Qinghan, tell Senior Hao that if he's willing to help, I'm willing to offer the mysterious blood." Bai Ling could die herself, but Gu Qinghan, her master's flesh and blood, absolutely could not die here. However, before Gu Qinghan could contact me, a red dot suddenly appeared in the sky. In an instant, That red dot streaked across the sky like a pillar of light and landed squarely on the seventh elder's head, enveloping him. Crimson flames continuously erupted from his body. He wanted to flee, but the red light followed him relentlessly. Everywhere the red light passed turned into lava. Finally, the seventh elder was burned alive. Then the red light instantly vanished. It was as if nothing had ever happened. Such a powerful nascent soul expert didn't even leave a corpse behind. At the same time, outside the glass box, I turned off the laser pointer. Wow, it's that powerful? Kinghan, are you okay? I'm fine, Senior, I'm okay. Aside from being startled, Gu Kinghan didn't have a single scratch. Suddenly hearing Gu Kinghan talking to herself, Bai Ling knew that Senior Ha was talking to his disciple again. Kinghan, mysterious blood, mysterious blood. Hearing this, Gu Kinghan hurriedly said, Senior, my master has a treasure to offer you. It's called the mysterious blood. We'll talk about it later, you guys clean up the mess first. The senior said for us to clean up first. At this point, Hai Lai grit his teeth. He knew there was a great master watching from above. Hai Lai went directly to Gu Kinghan and knelt down. Sect Master Bai, I started this war. Do with me as you will. These children of mine were only following my orders. They've never truly harmed your people. Could you please let them go? I'll have them head north to the extreme frozen lands and never return. To continue his tribe, this was the only way Hai Lai could think of. The sects were originally furious. But seeing Hai Li's attitude, they couldn't immediately voice their opinions, and all looked at Bai Ling. I have no right to decide your fate. Let the senior decide. Outside the glass box, I heard their request. I knew they weren't truly evil. They were just forced by the seventh elder. Most importantly, there were cat girls among these half-demons. Let's keep them for now. Gu Kinghan was completely bewildered, doubting she had heard correctly. The senior said he whooped at you mean keep us. It's like how ordinary people keep dogs. Keep dogs? Hai Lai felt a surge of anger in his heart. Although they were currently at someone else's mercy, half-demons had their dignity too. Just a short distance from Mount Qingyuan, a giant red object fell from the sky. Everyone hurriedly looked and saw what looked like a small mountain-sized animal leg land on the ground, giving off a strange aroma and spiritual energy. The senior says this is food for you. If it's not enough, he has more. Hai Lai stared blankly at that giant animal leg, his mouth wide open. This is for us? Yes, you can eat now. Don't fight over it. Hearing this, those half-demons charged frantically toward the giant leg. Being poor all their lives, they had never even seen this kind of beast meat before. Oh my. You're truly brilliant. Actually, I, Hai Lai, have been a dog demon since I was a child. Everyone just misidentified me as a wolf. Thank you, Senior, for helping me find my true self. Hai Lai charged toward the meat like a dog. If he were any later, there wouldn't be any left for him. Who says being a dog is bad? Being a dog is fantastic. Seeing the half-demons charging, the cultivators on the mountain were incredibly envious. Miss Gu. I'd be a dog too. The senior says for you to get lost. I was just trying to lighten the mood. By the way, this looks so much like a chicken leg. Could the senior even kill a phoenix? Outside the glass box, I had finished a bucket of original recipe chicken. The piece inside the glass box was the one I just dropped in. To my surprise, that chicken became a phoenix in the Xuanyuan world. It was already afternoon. After a day of tidying, the humans and half-demons had finally finished cleaning the battlefield. Gu Kinghan had just said her master wanted to give me the mysterious blood. So I reached down to take it, but fearing I might hurt someone, I picked up the tweezers again. Inside the Xuanyuan world, a giant golden hand slowly broke through the clouds and approached them. The half-demons on the ground immediately knelt. Even Bai Ling couldn't stop herself from trembling. Just then, the giant hand suddenly disappeared. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. That terrifying pressure made some small demons faint on the spot. After a while, 2 giant metal pillars descended from the sky. Gu Kinghan hurriedly placed a bag beside the metal pillars. The pillars gently gripped the bag and took it away. After the pillars left, everyone breathed deeply. The pressure was too much. I felt like my heart was going to jump out. Wait, Lord. Hai Lai suddenly shouted to the sky and hurriedly took out a circular stone. Lord, this is a demon beast egg left by my ancestors. It's said to contain the offspring of an ancient dragon. Lord, please accept it. The metal pillars that had just left descended again. Hai Lai hurriedly held the stone egg high above his head. The metal pillars gently gripped it, and then vanished into the sky. Sect Master Bai, since we've all received Senior Ha's favors and are all in this impoverished place, why don't we unite? After the battle with the 7th Elder, they all realized the threat to the Great Wasteland never came from within, but from outside. An elder could turn this place upside down. If they didn't unite, would they just wait for death? Bai Ling originally thought the senior was after Gu Kinghan's bone of the path, but now it seemed he didn't care for it at all. Now she only needed to protect Gu Kinghan. Okay, I agree. Late at night, Gu Kinghan looked at the sky, feeling a bit of longing for the senior. At that moment, Bai Ling walked up from behind her. She also looked at the sky, seemingly lost in thought. Master, do you think the senior truly is a great master of the nascent soul stage? I suspect the senior is an immortal. An immortal? But can immortals descend to the lower realm? Bai Ling wasn't sure either, but given how he ignored Gukunkingan's bone of the path, who else could he be but an immortal? The senior chose you, he must have seen your talent. Kingan, your innate bone of the path needs a massive amount of energy to be satisfied, which is why your breakthrough is so slow. Immortals are different from us, their actions always involve karma. So in the future, try not to ask the senior for help unless absolutely necessary. Each of his interventions requires him to bear the backlash of karma. Then Bai Ling told Gu Qingcan everything she had kept hidden all these years. Her mother, who was also Bai Ling's master, was the daughter of the Daoxuan sect master, Luo Yu. Luo Yu once ventured into the Sea of Calamity and later gave birth to Gu Qingcan. But that day, a trace of demonic energy was leaked. So the entire Central Plains speculated that the Daoxuan sect saintess had united with the demonic tribe. Her father, Luo Wen, was old and frail, stuck in the nascent soul stage for 1,000 years without progress. His prestige within the sect was extremely low. To maintain his position, he chose to betray his daughter. Luo Yu finally committed suicide in the Daoxuan sect. The righteous cultivators had no more excuses and had to withdraw. When she gave birth to Gu Qingcan, she already knew she had an innate bone of the path. To prevent her bone from being harvested, Luo Yu had Bai Ling take her far away from the Central Plains. So Bai Ling came to the Great Westland. Although spiritual energy was sparse here, it was safe. Who knew that after 20 years, they would still find out about Gu Qingcan's bone of the path? Gu Qingcan's mind was a complete jumble. She never imagined her origin was this complicated. Daughter of the Daoxuan sect saintess, descendant of the demonic tribe, innate bone of the path. Fortunately you met Senior Hao. You've been spared a great disaster. Bai Ling had been living in fear for 20 years, and today she finally felt somewhat at ease. With Senior Hao around she might not survive, but Gu Qingcan certainly would. I was completely dumbfounded. Gu Qingcan's origin is this tragic, forget it, I'd better get some sleep. The next day, when I woke up I saw that the things I took out yesterday had all grown larger. A storage bag, the mysterious blood, the stone egg, and the 7th Elder's 7 flying swords. Gu Qingcan said they were all top-grade magic tools. Besides these, there was also a basic cultivation technique called the Everlasting Spring Secret. Yes, I wanted to cultivate immortality in the real world. Cultivators probably don't get cancer, right? I opened the Everlasting Spring Secret and began studying it. Cultivation techniques don't actually need to be read. You just need to hold them against your forehead, and the knowledge will automatically flow into your brain. It's just that there were some things I truly didn't understand, so I had to keep asking Gu Qingcan. Time passed day by day. An entire month went by. I hadn't stepped out of my door even once. The delivery guy almost knew my address by heart. During this period, Bai Ling also led the half-demons and cultivators to rebuild their homes. They moved from the original Mount Qingyuan to the half-demons' ancestral land and began major construction. During this month, Qingcan had finished eating that lobster claw meat. Plentiful spiritual energy, combined with her hard work, allowed her cultivation to successfully reach the 19th level of 5 refinement. Others only needed 10 levels to break through, but she needed 20. This truly is the bone of the path. One day, Li Yang called me again. Hey cousin, what's up? Come out for a drink. We haven't had a drink together in a long time. Shortly after, I arrived at a barbecue stall near their apartment complex. Li Yang was already sitting there. Through a conversation, I learned he was unemployed too. Originally the temple was very lively, but then someone reported them for spreading feudal superstition, and it was shut down. After listening to his complaints, I decided to go to Mount Wanjing again to properly cultivate. A few hours later, I arrived at the temple and met Li Yang's master again. You're Li Yang's friend, aren't you? Yes, I am. Do you have any advice, master? Master? Li Yang is a good boy. He's almost 30 now. Help me talk some sense into him. Being a Taoist isn't what it used to be. Only a few famous ones can make money now. Li Yang has no future following me. Look, even my temple is gone. No, I think there are still many young people who like Taoist culture. It's not the same. What they want is the kind of immortal from novels. But if Taoism truly had immortals, would it have fallen to this state? Maybe there truly are some. Look at all those people who caught it on camera last time. Those were just birds. Forget it, I'm retiring next month anyway. This is Li Yang's salary for this month. Give it to him. The old man handed me an envelope and then headed down the mountain. I tucked the envelope away and stared blankly at the sky. Time slowly passed, and it was soon late at night. Almost time. I stood up and headed toward the forest behind the temple. I opened the storage bag and took out a piece of jade. Inside the transparent jade was a large amount of red liquid flowing like blood strands. This was the mysterious blood. The miraculous object Gu Qingcan's mother brought back from the Sea of Calamity. It had the power to defy heaven and change one's fate. It could allow an ordinary person with no spiritual roots to suddenly develop them. I took a deep breath, then squeezed the jade hard, shattering it. The red liquid continuously seeped into my body. In just a dozen seconds, it was completely integrated. Massive energy continuously surged through my body. I hurriedly operated the Everlasting Spring Secret to digest this terrifying power. Key refinement level 1, level 2, level 3, all the way to level 10. The sky over Tianhe City, which was clear with a bright moon just moments ago, was suddenly covered with dark clouds. Thunder boomed in the sky and bolts of lightning continuously flickered in the darkness. Some people who were camping scrambled out of their tents. They hurriedly started packing their bags. Look over there near the temple. A bolt of lightning tore through the sky. A figure floating in the air was struck directly by that lightning. This scene was truly too conspicuous, and everyone in Tianhe City noticed Mount Wanjing. Crossing a tribulation. Someone is truly crossing a tribulation. I told you there were people flying in the sky that day. Someone is crossing a tribulation on Mount Wanjing. The 9th bolt of lightning fell. Then the dark clouds slowly dispersed. The heaven and earth slowly calmed down, and I disappeared as well. That night, countless people from Tianhe City climbed Mount Wanjing. The entire temple was almost overcrowded. The Taoist priest was completely overwhelmed. You don't think there's someone cultivating immortality in this temple again, you? It looks like Li Yang has work to do again. At this moment, I was hovering high above Tianhe City. I used a common technique from the Xuan Yuan world, the art of concealment. It was more than enough to deal with ordinary people. I couldn't help but laugh. The power of the mysterious blood allowed me to bypass the QI refinement stage and reach foundation building. I could already control spiritual energy to precisely kill every cancer cell. I'm finally done with illnesses for the rest of my life. Looking at the busy traffic below, many thoughts surged in my mind. Next, should I stop eating beef?